Joan Rivers said that Michelle Obama was a man before she died. When
was that a joke? I thought it was a joke.
I thought it was a joke too, but the way she said it wasn't like jokey. She was like, oh, come on, everybody knows Michelle Obama's a man. Like, remember that?
Yeah, like, would Big Mike kill you for that?
Obama, still trying to make her struggling podcast a thing, went on a 4.5-minute tear about herself and how hard it is to be Michelle Obama. We're going to go through quite a bit of it. Here's the first one about how difficult it is for Black women like Michelle to articulate their pain.
Nobody saw it coming, not even Michelle Obama with her kale-powered calm and perfectly curated confidence. Joe Rogan and Megyn Kelly joined forces and launched a takedown so sudden it made her memoir feel like a practice draft. Rogan struck with podcast accuracy while Megyn carved through the polish like a ninja in heels. Michelle looked frozen, like someone yanked the teleprompter in the middle of a safe quote. Whatever they said shook her brand, and this roast definitely was not part of the becoming sequel.
It's good to see everybody having a good time. The country's almost back to normal before World War III. COVID was just so strange. We lost a lot of people during COVID, and most of them are still alive. Yeah, right? Yeah, there's a lot of people that I don't fuck with anymore. Before COVID, I would have told you that vaccines are the most important invention in human history. After COVID, I'm like, I don't think we went to the moon. I think Michelle Obama's got a dick. I think Pizzagate is real. I think there's direct energy weapons and
after the discussion we just had about how the left looks at everything through this identity, you could say prism, you could also say prison, where she's talking about how women aren't allowed to articulate their pain, about how they just suck it up. You know, they don't show that. As if men never do that, Glenn. Like men are known, aren't they, for articulating their pain? That's what you think of when you think of man traditionally.
What if Michelle Obama's post-White House career is just performance art designed to turn elite brunches into a full-time personality? If manufacturing relatability were a sport, her team would have patented it, wrapped it in a glossy cover, and sold it as a Netflix docuseries narrated by a candle. Not a person, just a candle. The scent would feature presidential nostalgia, hints of kale, and a strong base of manufactured humility.
Expensive to live in the White House. As many people don't know, I mean, much is not covered. You're paying for every bit of food that you eat. You know, you're not paying for housing and the staff in it, but everything, even travel. If you're not traveling with the president, if your kids are coming on a Bright Star, which is the First Lady's plane, we had to pay for their travel to be on the plane.
Joe Rogan probably looked up from his elk jerky mid-sauna and asked why. Michelle Obama is somehow everywhere and nowhere at once. It is a fair question. She went from when they go low, we go high to when they go low, I post a motivational podcast and release a luxury fashion line. She has become the walking version of a TED Talk nobody requested, but everyone has to pretend to love. Like a group project where she brought snacks and still got all the credit.
Rogan is calling out Oprah and Michelle Obama for hypocritical speeches at the DNC. Watch.
She's up there talking about income inequality. Like, hey, lady.
Yeah, I know.
You're rich as Like, how is that equal? And also, when Michelle Obama was saying, you know, I think she was saying her mother or grandmother was always suspicious of people who took more than they needed.
Yes.
Like, you are worth so much money.
Take more than they need. The Obamas have 4 man.
Megyn Kelly walked in like someone who just caught a room full of unpaid interns writing Michelle's next memoir, and she was not impressed. Megyn does. Not do vague captions or curated selfies about finding purpose. She deals in sarcasm, direct shots, and enough side-eye to make a camera lens crack. While the rest post staged brunch photos, Megyn arrives with facts and receipts.
Just as bitter as ever. There's such a great new spin of complaints here. Here's one from her most recent episode, which still on YouTube, she's got like 200,000 subscribers. It's really amazing that now she's been doing this for how many episodes? She's been literally on every podcast of the left wing promoting it. And that's still all she's managed to get. Here she is interviewing Dr. Sharon Malone, perhaps better known as former Attorney General Eric Holder's wife. And therein lies the problem, as these two ladies, married to two very famous men, are pissed that they are not the alpha in terms of popularity.
At some point, Michelle's entire image turned into a blend of polite activism and corporate-level branding. Her image is so manufactured it makes Martha Stewart look low effort. This is someone who once planted a garden at the White House like she discovered vegetables and now accepts climate awards while flying private sipping iced matcha in a blouse worth more than most rent checks. She is the lifestyle version of a boardroom PowerPoint filled with soft colors and zero specifics.
Mama has a new podcast that's doing very badly in the ratings. Perhaps she thought this hairstyle, this do might help. Either that or maybe it's gonna win back Barack Obama, with whom she allegedly is on the verge of divorce with. I don't know. It's not really working for me.
Book titles read like AI-generated slogans. Becoming what exactly? A lifestyle brand. A walking Pinterest board. A motivational slogan without the motivation. She has mastered the art of saying everything and saying nothing at the same time. Big energy with zero direction. Even Joe Rogan, who once had a 5-hour debate about mushrooms saving the world, was confused. The words sound deep, but what is she actually doing? Besides selling Good Feelings hardcover editions in TD style, public appearances about leafy greens and vague empowerment.
Dylan's video where he was saying that Michelle Obama should run for president. If she won, she could pull her cock out and China would just give up. I was fucking wheezing. I couldn't breathe. Big Mike.
Big Mike.
While she travels the globe podcasting and giving speeches, we need to look at the contradiction. She claims to speak for the youth but delivers empowerment speeches to billionaire crowds who applaud anything that comes with soft piano music. These are people named Bryce who own islands and complain about electric car stress. Even Joe Rogan, who considers elk meat sacred, probably cannot decipher the message. The whole act feels like it was designed in a Whole Foods conference room. At this point, Michelle could run for office using only positive vibes and still get standing ovations from people who have no clue what she said.
People like reaching over our heads and spilling water on us, trying to get to these two, illustrious men.
And that's annoying because she's supposed to be the star. Michelle Obama. This dovetails perfectly with so many other comments she's made about how she is like, what about me? What about me? What did those 8 years in the White House do to my soul? And why isn't anyone asking? They shouldn't have to be told to ask.
Megyn Kelly, who lives in a state of permanent side-eye, is not buying it. She has seen too much spin to be impressed by another subscription box version of empowerment. Michelle's version comes with a mug, a journal, and stories polished enough to make a therapist quit. And no, we are not forgetting those school lunches. She went to war against pizza like it was a national threat and expected third graders to praise quinoa. Even the apples were rolling their eyes. Michelle's soft power is like a motivational whisper wrapped in velvet, funded by branding deals and smoothed out by high-end PR. Joe Rogan sees the filter and wonders how anyone still calls this authentic. Interview now.
I'm still at it. And in this particular soundbite, she's got thoughts on relationships. Listen here.
Relationships are long and there are also ebbs and flows, right? So I think sometimes people who date don't realize that, in long-term relationships, you're gonna have deep dips and you're gonna have
a bad year.
Megyn has had enough. She is done with the carefully crafted applause breaks and the lukewarm political sound bites wrapped in high-end cardigans. Michelle has become the boss level of polite elitism, too polished to criticize and too vague to cancel. She floats through it all backed by TG's candles and slogans. She no longer needs to say anything. Just showing up in a carefully chosen outfit is enough to cause a frenzy. Joe Rogan cannot believe this is the same woman who once hated politics. Now she is deep in the game of soft politics filled with feelings and brand deals. No policies, no stances, just applause, friendly sound waves. Megyn is probably trying to trademark the phrase polite mediocrity to explain all of this. Michelle's message is like a perfume ad, expensive, unclear, slow motion, and still somehow gets applause.
People who continue to play the victim even though they're not. Here is today's daily dose of Michelle Obama, who has been out there trying to promote her terrible podcast that has absolutely no fan following. And she decided everything she says and does is a complaint. Everything. And so she winds up talking to Tina Knowles, also better known as Beyonce's mother, about marriage and divorce, which is Michelle's favorite topic, one of them at least. Number one is how much she hates her time as first lady. She hated it. And number two, I mean, you could go either way, how racist the country is and how much she can't stand it. And then we're coming in, at least in the top three, is her negative comments about her husband and her marriage.
And divorce, that is one of Michelle's favorite topics, along with how miserable she was as first lady and how much she resents the country. She talks about her marriage like it is a group project gone wrong, and about the nation like it is an old friend who owes her money. She went from community organizing to headlining empowerment retreats that look like wellness conferences funded by the same people who own tech monopolies. It is all soft lighting, velvet chairs, and speeches about struggle spoken over luxury dinner plates. Joe sees the irony. She talks sacrifice while cashing checks that could fund entire school districts just to stand on stage and tell people to believe in themselves. At this point, Michelle is the billionaire version of a pep talk. She says, I am just like you while being escorted to a gated VIP lounge. Joe and Megyn finally agree. Michelle is not dangerous because she is radical. She is dangerous because she is perfectly safe. She is the political version of low-sodium soup, warm, bland, and built to last forever.
Is her negative comments about her husband and her marriage. Here she is talking with Tina Knowles about number three, sort of.
I love the way you talk about the need to get your independence, because your marriage wasn't always what it should have been.
Right.
Okay, so she's going right in, like, independence is what it's about. Of course, you know, you had a shitty marriage. I can totally relate. And then
while the public continues to worship the polished image, Rogan is waiting for someone to pull the curtain. Megyn is already charging at it with scissors. Behind the branding, behind the magazine covers, behind the universally approved slogans is someone who played the media so well, we forgot there was a game. Michelle changed expectations. She made. People believe hope is a photo shoot, progress is a podcast, and change is something you pre-order. Joe and Megyn did not just criticize her. They exposed the entire machine that rewards effort-free influence. They laughed at the illusion and dared others to look.
You know, just so proud of how you are being a role model for dealing with a child that's transgender.
Absolutely.
And that's, you know, that warms my heart, particularly as a Black man.
Because once you strip away the applause and curated lighting, all that remains is a carefully stitched persona made for attention, not impact. She is praised as a trailblazer while following paths paved with elite connections. Her legacy is not built on shaking systems. It is built on making them comfortable. The crowd still claps and the media still swoons. But two people with microphones and no patience for fake depth finally said what needed saying. This is not revolution. This is rerun.